Connie, and welcome to my blind reaction to The Tale of Zatoichi. This is a 1962 film that, to my knowledge, is a samurai film, but I'm not actually confident on that. This is a donation reward, I can say that much, for Sweet Venom. And I believe this is one of those classic samurai films. I don't know if it's Kurosawa or not, but it's one of I believe it's one of those. Again, I don't know for sure. I might be completely wrong. So I have only vaguely heard of this by name. I think that there's a remake to this, like a more modern remake. I don't know exactly when it's from, but we are doing the 1962 version, which is in black and white. And hopefully we should have subtitles. If not, I'm going to be very sad. But all of that being said, yeah, I don't know exactly what to expect. I know a little bit about samurai history and whatnot, just from not only just other anime, well, anime in general. This isn't an anime, but just from anime and some videos I've watched online and stuff. I learned maybe a little bit about it in high school and stuff too. Not a huge amount. So I don't know every single detail, but I do know some information. Such as the samurai were often at heads with ninja, for example. The samurai were often seen as luxury guards for the rich and well-off, and often were serving directly under the shogunate. They could be hired out if you had the money, which most people didn't. The average person did not. And so samurai would often be used, let's be honest, in not so savory ways, and would a lot of times tend to not be great for the average person. Let's just put it that way. Now, that's not always the case, of course. Just like with practically anything out there, there were good samurai and there were bad samurai. But let's be honest, there's a reason samurai don't exist anymore. Outside of, media. It's not a profession that really had the staying power to survive, progression. It's one of those old kind of professions that are just outdated nowadays. They're not only not needed, but they would feel wrong in the modern era because of kind of what they represent and what they came to represent through their usage. And again, it just depends on the specific samurai for whether or not they were good or bad. There were a lot of samurai who victimized the shit out of people. And there were samurai who were genuinely good people who tried to help the average person. So, I assume our main character in this is going to be named Zatoichi, and I assume he's probably going to be a good guy. I'm wondering if we are going to see the bad side of things in this. It's hard to say, but I'm definitely interested to see what this is like, because I haven't really seen a lot of older Japanese media. Outside of a couple older anime like Speed Racer and Astro Boy and whatnot, I haven't really seen a lot of older Japanese media. I've seen practically none of the famous samurai movies and whatnot, and just not really anything from the olden days. Most of the Japanese media I've seen has been more modern, 80s to current, basically. So this is going to be very interesting to see because it's going to be new for me in a lot of ways. It's going to be very new, and I'm going to be viewing this completely from the perspective of someone who has not seen this era in Japanese cinema before. So I'm excited. We're just going to get this started and hope for the best, though. So let's do so. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I was actually correct on something I said in the reaction. I thought about it during the entire time since it first came to mind, and I had to look it up because I know I've obviously heard in the past that the admirals from One Piece are all based on real life actors. That Oda Sensei based them on actors in real life. And I'm watching this and thinking, Zatoichi is very similar to Fujitora. I even mentioned that in the reaction, that he reminds me of Admiral Fujitora from One Piece. And so I looked it up, and yes, Fujitora is directly inspired off of Shintaro Katsu as Zatoichi. It is just 100% true. And for those who might be wondering, Borsalino, also known as Admiral Kizaru, is based off of Kunie Tanaka from Truck Yaro. Kuzan, or Admiral Aokiji, is based off of Yusaku Matsuda from Tante Monogatari. And Sakazuki, also known as Admiral Akainu, is based off of Bunta Sugawara from the Sakazuki movies. So, all of the admirals, I don't know about, like, anything beyond that, like maybe Fleet Admiral Sengoku. I don't know if he's based off of anyone. But at least these four admirals are based off of real-life actors and the roles they portrayed. And yes, that includes Fujitora, who again is based off of Zatoichi, and specifically the actor Shintaro Katsu, who played him. I actually want to check something here, because I'm actually really curious. I want to know, genuinely, if Shintaro Katsu was actually blind. Because I understand that in a lot of older movies and stuff and everything, a lot of people with disabilities and all weren't always portrayed by that, but he very much kind of came across like he really put effort into understanding it. Apparently he died in 97 at 65 years old from cancer, which, Jesus. He was a shamisen player. And he did production work and other stuff as well. He wasn't just an actor. I'm not seeing anything about it here, though, about him being actually blind. So I'm assuming probably not. I'm assuming he probably wasn't, but let me check one last place here. I'll check one more thing, and if not, yeah, he wasn't blind himself, okay. Okay. He just probably did a lot of like research into how to act in the role and everything. So, like I said, though, this movie came out in 1962 and is based on a 1948 essay of the same name by Kan Shimazawa. It is apparently the first installment in a series of movies that star this character. I actually want to see if I was right about there being a remake, though. It looks like there was a 2010 movie. There was also 2003 and 2008. Yeah, there was a 2003, 2008, and then 2010. I don't know if those are all part of the same series. But there is a lot of these movies. There is a lot of them. And apparently there was a television series as well. So I don't know how many that this same actor appeared in offhand. But yeah. Anyway, sorry about that. I was just checking something with the description of the movie and all. This was really good. Like, outside of just Shintaro Katsu's performance here as Zatoichi being honestly phenomenal, every actor really did a good job. They all felt right in their role, from the different Yakuza bosses feeling like detestable Yakuza bosses to Hitane's actor. Let me see who Hitane's actor was real quick. I gotta find it here. Hirate, not Hitane. Hirate. Miki Hirate was performed by Shigeru Amachi, who apparently appeared in more than 120 films between 53 and 84. That's a lot. He did an amazing job. Masayo Banri, who played Otane, did a great job. Everyone was great. The dramatic zooms were a little silly, but I felt like it worked for this kind of movie. I also like that throughout most of the film, you don't see Zatoichi's sword skills. You see one example of him cutting the candle, and it takes a bit to get to that point. Then he uses a very quick fluid motion when two guys attack him, and you only really see him in action by the end. I really like that because it not only fits his character, not enjoying and not agreeing with this kind of lifestyle, but also it builds up to showcasing the skills that we have heard about and seeing little glimpses of. The soundtrack worked really well. The direction and cinematography, again, for the time, considering black and white and the cameras they had and everything, was really well done. Like, everything felt good in that regard. I like the storytelling. Like, you could kind of see where it was going. Like, you obviously knew that that Hirate would face Zatoichi in the end and would be defeated and more than likely die. Especially once we found out about his illness, we knew he would die. But I like how it was handled, and I like that Zatoichi had to be basically coerced into it. And that even after the fight was over, even after he won and succeeded in killing Hirate, he was extremely upset by it, like to the point of tears. But that nonetheless Hirate was satisfied with his death, that it was a worthy, honorable death, falling to a friend. Which is really emotional, like Jesus. And on top of that, you have the parts after where Ichi gets excessively angry. Like, this is a guy who, again, like I said, has gone with the flow pretty much the entire movie. Like, you see things that would probably annoy him, of course, that would upset him, but nothing that, like, really gets him pissed. But then at the end, when everybody is celebrating and laughing and, enjoying the fact they won, he gets pissed. He screams, he attacks, and destroys the barrel and everything, and yells, like, actively, like, berates the dude for the way he is celebrating all this. And you see Tate try to go after him, and he's knocked into the water and everything, and even Zatoichi at that point is like, probably not anyone important. Because at this point, like, he just gives no shits about these people. They are scum to him. And I mean, they are scum. Absolutely. The only person who he could say is good at this point is Otane. But he decides to reject her advances. He chooses to not meet up with her because he doesn't feel worthy. And just is not okay with this entire lifestyle, and he just wants to be, basically, from what we can tell, rid of any memory of it, of anything connected to it. It's just not something he wants in his life anymore. And I don't know where the future movies go, but I hope that they continue to stick to his morals and philosophies in regards to everything. I assume they probably do. But yeah, it's a really, really well made film that just feels super well done, and like there's a lot of effort put into it. Like, I've seen older movies that feel older, you know what I mean? I've seen movies around this era that feel so small effort. Like, they didn't have to do as much because at the time there wasn't as much in terms of technology and all. Like, and even for the time, that was still, this technology that they had was still new to them and was impressive. But a lot of them, it comes across more like they skipped a lot of effort. But then you have some movies like this and like 12 Angry Men, where it's like, it just feels like they put so much into the movie. That they put so much care and effort and thought into it that it just stands apart. 12 Angry Men, I've mentioned multiple times, is my favorite movie of all time. Absolutely. It's one of the only films I consider to be perfect and is still my personal favorite. It's that good, and that movie's from earlier than this. This movie's from the 60s. 12 Angry Men was the 50s. So it's like that movie's even older. Also, it's an American-made movie compared to this, which is Japanese-made. To be fair, got to take that into account too. I actually want to see here. So yeah, this was released on April 12th of 1962 and was reissued theatrically in 1976. So over a decade later, it re-entered theaters. And apparently, the second movie, The Tale of Zatoichi Continues, also came out in 1962. So both movies came out in the same year. The film actually apparently, and again, take this with a grain of salt, always form your own opinion, but apparently it does have a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's only according to 7 reviews. The film summoned the most sequels of a samurai film, and the 2003 one is a remake. Okay, okay, so the 2003 one is straight up a remake. Um, and according to this, stars Takeshi Kitano as Zatoichi. So yeah. Um, the 2008 one appears to be based on a manga, according to this, which is probably itself based on Zatoichi, so it's probably like it doesn't seem to be connected to the 2003 remake. As for the 2010 one, which is called Zatoichi the Last, this one stars Shingo Katori as Zatoichi. And again, does not seem to be, from what I can tell, connected to any other one. It's just a completely separate movie. So yeah. I don't know how many of the earlier ones had him. I just highlighted the one called Zatoichi and the Fugitives from '68, and that one says it still stars Shintaro Katsu. Zatoichi Goes to the Fire Festival from 1970, which is a few movies after that, also stars him. What about this one? Okay, this one's from 1989 and is called Zatoichi Darkness is His Ally. Apparently, all of the originals, from what I can tell, also starred Shintaro Katsu. It seems like he was just Zatoichi in all of these. From what I can tell, at least. Which, I mean, hell yeah. I mean, this dude, like, owned this role. This is his role. And, I mean, I can see it. Like I said, like, he did a phenomenal job. Like, he was one of the only characters in this that I actually, like, really cared about. Him, Hirata, and Otane were the only characters in this that I thought were, like, likable. Everyone else was a piece of shit. And I like how you see that pretty much right off the bat, too. Like, with the fact that they're going to go after him for swindling them at the gambling, even though they were trying to swindle him first. So I like that you see right off the bat that, oh yeah, they're not good people. It doesn't tell you right away that they're Yakuza, but you still understand. You still understand the entire idea of it all. Yeah, I really, really liked this. It wasn't the best movie I've seen or anything, but if I were to give it like an out of 10, just based off of my initial impressions, I'd say at least a 9, like genuinely, which is very good, obviously. But I don't know if I'd put it anywhere above that. Definitely not a 9.5 or higher. So it wouldn't be in like my favorite movies that I've seen this year, whether older movies or newer movies, but I mean, it's still up there. Like I said, I really liked it. And hell, maybe we'll end up getting more Zatoichi requests in the future. Maybe we'll get requests for the movies that the other One Piece admirals are based on. That would be funny. But yeah, I can very much see how Zatoichi inspired Fujitora. And, I mean, I like Fujitora a lot. He's probably my favorite admiral, so yeah, it's very clear that, yeah, I like Zatoichi as well, because they're pretty much the same character. And it makes me wonder. I wonder if this means that Fujitora is going to end up turning against the world government. Honestly, I've already wondered that anyways, even well before this movie. But I could believe it, considering it's him. In the meantime, though, Uh, tell me your thoughts not on One Piece, but on this movie, The Tale of Zatoichi. Let me know your thoughts. Especially tell me your thoughts on Shintaro Katsu's performance here. Because, like I said, I thought it was phenomenal. But for the time being, thank you so much once again for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.